So a lot of kills going both ways. It was pretty insane. It was basically 2 kills a minute for that entire duration. But a well-played game from both teams. So if anyone wants to look at the standings or kind of the matches for this day, that is the finals bracket. If you're wondering how the group stages went and how the teams stacked up against each other, you can see all the qualifying rounds there. And it looks like I may be joined by Omega Kai here for the next go. Let me just call him up. So it looks like Omega Kai will be joining me for this next game. And he will be coming in very soon. Oh, hello, Omega. How are you going?
Good buddy, good buddy. How are we going? Saw that match, mates and six in YMC. YMC 2 to 4. I think I don't know what you said. I didn't see the beginning of casting catch if you had any analysis between the two teams, but YMC they seem to be playing very consistently, very strong through the leagues that we've been seeing them in recent days. Same for Mate and Six, but I've casted probably about 2 or 3 dozen matches of YMC, so and I'm very confident. About their playstyle. Whereas in Mates and Six, I haven't cast as many matches, and so I'm not as up to play, if you will, about
Yeah,
what I
I
saw.
would say MI6 and YMC are pretty much in the same tier as far as the competitive Australian scene goes. But YMC have started really kind of coming ahead there. In the group stages, they did lose to Hans, but it was a 55-minute slugfest. It went down to multiple buybacks and some great split pushing from M on the anti-mage. So they're definitely a team that can, take these top teams to distance. And in the group stages, YMC did beat MI6, and they've won game one here. So it looks like they do have the edge in this matchup.
Yeah, and this is kind of going back a while. I seen generally out of WMC their drafting style, and that in the last match not the case, but generally they like those late game matches. They like those late game matchups, I should say. And so any team that's looking to also go late game, I feel is going to be working in the favor of YMC because the matches that I have seen or the playstyles I have seen them play indicates that they do like that late game. What are your thoughts on that?
I think for MI6, they do like their kind of mid-game aggression. It's kind of the trademark of Australian Dota there. Don't pick a hard carry, go for all mid-heroes and semi-carries. But out of kind of all the teams, MI6 and YMC seem to be the ones that pick up the harder carry kind of split push heroes like the anti-mage, like the gyrocopter even, just to complement these drafts. So um, I don't know, MI6 just seemed to want to take it really kind of mid game with the lineup that they had there with the Timbersaw, the OD, as well as the Bounty Hunter, especially, just trying to give them a bit of leeway with that track gold. But it didn't seem to work out for them with YMC just kind of taking a 1 kill advantage in almost every fight, and it just started adding up too much.
So, what are you expecting to see in the next match? More of the same, or do you think the teams, is MI6 the kind of team that learns from its mistakes quickly and changes up their playstyle, or they're kind of team that goes with the tried and true and looks to just kind of play what they know?
I think MI6, because they're using two stand-ins, it kind of messes up their playstyle a tiny bit. I mean, the last game we saw Vaj was playing their mid lane role, and without your kind of normal mid laner, it can definitely throw your team into disarray a slight bit. It's not as worse as losing your kind of two paired supports, but it does kind of throw the team off a little bit. So I think as far as MI6 goes, they might be affected slightly by the stand-ins as far as the game goes, but when you were talking about the draft, I think they could try and draft a harder carry. We might see something like the Gyrocopter or the Luna coming out for them. Of course, those two still do have a lot of mid-game power, but they do have kind of more late-game stability. So it all depends on the draft. I think they need to think of banning out the Weaver this game. They were pretty heavy on support kind of bans out the Clockwork, and I believe the Crystal Maiden were there banned. So I don't know. I think that really the problem was that they just traded unfavorably during the last game. So they just need to tighten up their game a little bit and try not to give as much away.
All right. Well, let's see if they're listening. Let's see if they take your advice and apply that, because of course we're going into game two very shortly, hopefully. And hey, it's with the game with teams that are on the same tier. Generally, it can go either way. It can come down to some of those really critical misplays, those missed opportunities that somebody just capitalizes on, and of course. That's all it takes. But when you've got standards in the mix, it can go either way. If they're amazing, if they just have natural synergy with the team, if they just if they've played with the team enough, they can sometimes be better than the traditional standing line that you would normally have, because it changes how you play. Having that extra fresh blood, or that there's different players in there, can change how you look to. Look to play, and if a team has played against you enough, and then all of a sudden there's these other sort of wild card elements in there that can really switch it up. And we've seen, in some of the competitive drafts, it's not that standard safe team that tends to throw the top teams off. It's that oddball wild card sort of draft that some of the higher tier teams sometimes struggle with, just because they just don't know what to do. And so that sort of scenario can sometimes happen when you have standards. Why is this game not starting?
It's we've been having problem with the servers this morning. So the last game I think took about a minute and 50 seconds before we actually started loading into the game. So I think it's basically just the fact that the servers have been having a few issues. The last game did go ahead after a bit of a long wait, but yeah, just Valve having a few server issues, but it'll all be sorted out, hopefully. So we should be loading into the game. Too many troubles, hopefully not too long of a wait.
All right. Hopefully.
But yeah, as you were saying with the stand-ins, it can kind of throw them out if you're used to a certain playstyle from a team. Suddenly it's different. They're more aggressive. They're less aggressive. They go for hard carries. They roam more on the mid lane. And they just generally choose different heroes because each player has their kind of certain people.
Yeah,
so,
the drafting sometimes is what really throws people off, where they expect the natural synergy or natural combo to come through, and they're like, oh, if we ban this, it's going to be this, and then it's something completely out of left field. They can kind of be like, what? And, it's not going to work against you. You can be like, wow, this is a substandard draft. We should be able to pick up kills easily. But at the same time, it can be the other way around. It can't be like, I'm trying to think of a match recently where that happened, and I know there's something in the back of my mind where I should say it, but I just can't think of it right now. But there was a draft recently where at the end, oh, it was a disruptor, and disruptor. What game was that? I think it was. It was a Pro League game, but Disruptor was picked up as the last pick, which was really unusual, and that's because the stand-in that they had for that team was like, "Hey, I want to play Disruptor," so they put it in there, and it worked really really well. Like the synergy wasn't as good for support that they had, but they were able to capitalize on the lockdown from that static ring and just throw the other team into disarray. They've got these heroes trapped inside these rings, and they just don't know what to do about it, particularly early game, and that just led to snowball because they've just picked up so many early kills, and then of course later on with the team fights with the static electrical storm, just shut down with Argonums, even items, and so. Those I don't want to say that's not really too hard wildcard, but it is if you're expecting, something else more proficient to come out, and then the disruptor comes out, it can sort of throw out your plans out the window.
It certainly can. We have finally loaded into this game, so we can hopefully get it started. Illusion Jesus just loading in now, and I believe you're just connecting through as well. So it will be starting up shortly. There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody, to our second game of the day, the Australian Esports League final days. This is the semi-final match between MI6 and YMC. As I said, this is game 2. YMC took out the first game with a big snowball lineup. GV just playing an excellent Mirana that game. Of course, I am the Spectre. Joining me today is our great friend from over the ocean, Omega Kai. So, welcome to this cast.
Great, and thanks for having me. Shout out to those guys in the client because they haven't been listening to us on the stream there. But shout out to those guys. Hi.
How you going, guys? We do see again the Clockwork banned out first by YMC. Clockwork really has seen a lot of play recently. He's just seen as such a strong hero in that off lane now, with the kind of changes to creep equilibrium as well as as I said, the resurgence of dual lanes.
I don't know if he's gone anywhere at all. He's always been a solid pick, and in fact, we saw those statistics released from November. He was either picked or banned in 98% of all Pro League matches. So he is a very popular pick, but also following that trend, you got the Visage, just as popular, not quite as much, but especially popular this end of the world in Asia. Visage very strong and a lot of presence here in both picks and bans. What are your thoughts on Visage?
I think Visage is really, really strong, especially in those kind of early laning stages. Soul Assumption is just really, really strong, as well as having that Grave Chill. It allows for, a slightly bad position for the enemy to turn into a terrible position, and you can follow it up with stuns. It's not necessarily, like a setup stun, but it definitely gives you a much easier time landing things like a Mirana Arrow or a Lina Light Strike Array, so... I really like Visage, and the stand-in on the other team, stand-in Turtle Man, who is Moops from Noxious, is a giant Visage fanatic, so definitely a good ban.
Dyer's pick.
Oops, sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, having a look, the first pick from YMC, they go with the Weaver. This is a pretty standard pickup for a lot of teams, particularly in the Australian scene. Weaver does tend to come out quite early on. It gives a bit of I don't want to say a solid wildcard away, but generally we do see that Weaver being played in the solo, but he can be played in the tri lane. But again, a solid pickup. I don't know. I'm not a particular fan of Weaver. I do think he's a little bit greedy when it comes to how you need to play him. And of course, it can be sort of a do or die scenario with the Zakuji, with the ult. If you don't time it right, or if you look to overextend and dive at the wrong time, that can go against you. And with Weaver, when it sort of cover off what I meant by greedy earlier on, with Weaver, because you have those two abilities at your disposal, you sometimes play more aggressively than you need to, and that means that you can be out of position, you can be caught out, and that's why I'm not a particular fan of Weaver, but players do know how to play him, and he's played very well in the Australian team.
Yeah, as you were saying, you can dive in if suddenly, a stun comes out from the side that you weren't expecting. Now you're under tower with 3 heroes hitting on you, and before you can time-lapse or Sakuchi, you're dead. So, it's definitely very dangerous, but M is very experienced on this Weaver. I think there are only about 2 scenarios where he really got caught out last game. So, he is very practiced, and as you were saying with the playstyle, Weaver does come online kind of midway into the game, but he does need some sort of... Well, doesn't need it, but usually you want some sort of defensive item on him to begin with. Usually, that's the Lincoln Sphere, and, that usually comes out depending on your farm, anywhere between kind of the 15 to 22 minute mark. So it's, he is a mid-game hero, but he does take quite a lot of protection in the early game, as he is just so squishy before he has that time lapse, and, before you can really abuse the short cooldown of Sakuchi. But we do see the Alchemist picked up by MI6, along with the Lich, so they have decent teamfight presence, but the Elder Titan being picked up by YMC, so they're going to be having that natural order, as well as the giant Earth Splitter coming through from that Elder Titan, and we've seen he's been almost banned out every single game in Australian Dota just because, Australians just love aggression so much in the pro scene. So it's really difficult to go up against an Elder Titan in that teamfight scenario.
What this draft here, though, however, I like Mason 6 draft. They haven't really given away anything. They got Lich support. Is it going to be a dual mid Lich? Are you going to have him but this is support. It's clearly Alchemist could be support, could be a mid Alchemist. We've seen that a little bit, but could be a support, could be looking at the hard farm. But with YMC, they've already given away that they've got the Weaver and Elder Titan, and only one of these heroes is going to be in an off lane. So this is going to help Mate and Six to potentially counterpick. And if I was them, I'd be looking for that Rubik. Because Rubik is always a good pickup, but just because I feel that if you got a really solid Rubik, stealing those early level, those low level abilities, not just the ults, such as Akuzi, such as the stomp from Elder Titan, you could do really, really well. And their team that they already have here has these two potentially strong supports. So Mates and Six is going to give it to them at this early stage of the draft, because their draft just seems more open.
Yeah, I think a really good pickup for Maiden 6 would be the Puck. You can jump in there, instantly silence off the heroes. It's a great area denial against the Weaver, as well as silencing him out so he can't time-lapse or jump away. Great burst damage as well, and it combos up with the Lich ultimate really well. As far as the draft for YMC, I mean, they can take it a few ways. We've seen Weaver in the off lane or the safe lane. Elder Titan is sometimes played as a mid hero as well. Kind of Liquid Bulber, I believe, was the one that kind of popularized it in the pro scene, as you can grab up just a lot of damage and harassment power from that Spirit, just constantly throwing it out while bottle crowing, and the extra damage that you gain from it makes last hitting a breeze. But MI6 do pick up the Mirana, so they basically have YMC's lineup from last game at the moment.
Yeah, and those there won't be a lot of people, but those that do know me well know that I love Mirana, I love Luna. Mirana, I think, should be up there in one of the top picks for bans or pickups, if you ask me, because the utility with the ult, the timing, if you can, and she's got set up here as well for the arrow. If you Alchemist here, and even Lich to a lesser degree with the slow, can really help you secure those arrows. So it becomes less of a skill shot and more of a given if you can land those arrows, and the damage as well as the long-term stun out of Mirana. Everyone knows how she works. I'm just covering off the points that everyone already knows. But the
Mirana definitely is great.
Yeah, the brilliance of how she can fit into pretty much any draft and just add that extra ultra aggression, as you said, that the Australian team is sort of what we like here down under on the pro scene. She just fits really well into that scene because she does help a hero that may not be ultra aggressive or may have some deficiency in terms of reach or threat zone, just get right in your face and then just come out of nowhere. So that's why I liked Mirana. What are your thoughts on the Invoker though?
The Invoker 214, the mid laner for YMC, is a big Invoker fanatic. So he's an extremely kind of well-rounded Invoker player. I've seen him play Quas Wex, Quas, everything basically, the Exhort. And he is an extremely good Invoker, and it can really hurt these heroes, like basically the entire Maiden 6 lineup at the moment. If you can get the Yule Scepter off and go for that pure damage combo, if he does go the Quas Exhort build, they're all in trouble. You can disable Mirana before she can leap away, and the amount of damage that comes out is lethal to her, so I think it's going to be really down to positioning for them.
The only downside is that they've already announced what their lanes are going to be. By picking up their 3-slot Invoker, they've indicated that Invoker is got to be mid, which leaves Elder Titan for the off lane, Weaver for a tri-lane. That's a scenario that you're looking at. So that gives two potential options here for Maiden 6 to kind of counteract what they expect the laning to be, because it has been announced earlier on. Whereas Maiden 6, only now I think they're picking up what could be their mid hero. It's likely to be their mid hero or their tri-lane hero, which is the Viper. Well, they could just be going for a standard dual lane. You're not really sure you're looking at the lineup, you're not 100% sure where this is going to be. But for YMC, you can pretty much say these are the lanes and this is what it's going to be. And that's the downside, but I think, between picking up that early Invoker.
Yeah, definitely. It did kind of spell out what their lanes were going to be. The Lion pickup now from YMC, a hero that we don't often actually see. He does provide a lot of crowd control. If 214 does decide to go Quas Wex instead of Quas Exhort, that is a crap ton of of lockdown you can have in these mid-game fights. But by the same token, with the heroes that they have, I think Invoker does need to be a main damage dealer, and it more than likely 214 will be going that Quas Exhort. As you were saying, Viper, more than likely going to be Mate 6's mid laner. They could always put Mirana there, but I think it would be the Viper. Can definitely make Invoker's life very hard. You do have the Quas for regen a little bit, but the poison attack that was, of course, buffed in the recent patch with having a 0 cooldown at level 1 is extremely annoying for that Invoker, and I think as soon as Viper hits level 6, if he has any sort of reveal for the Ghost Walk, then Invoker will just die instantly. So
yeah, and they've also got options in their bag. They could go dual mid. Lich is the keystone for a lot of dual mid scenarios, and if it is definitely Invoker mid, if they want to sort of capitalize on this, they could pick up a dual mid combo now. They still have the option. They have the last pick here, and it would put Paint YMC into a bit of a corner. If they put Invoker mid, he's going to have a difficult time being harassed, being driven out, and potentially easily rotated on if there's a dual mid there. But at the same time, a lot of damage coming out of their lineup already. Their lineup is screaming that we have the single target damage to really destroy you with the Weaver, with the Invoker, and of course with the Lion. So, Doom being picked up.
Yeah, this kind of throws the lanes out slightly more. It's a very, very greedy pick, I gotta say. It more than likely will probably have the Mirana in the off lane, the Viper mid, and Doom as kind of the I mean, it could be one of two ways. He could be purely in the jungle, and it could be a farming Alchemist with a Lich on a dual lane, but I think more than likely it'll be a tri-lane with the Alchemist. Maybe even the Lich and the Mirana go off lane, so you can kind of pull it back a bit, but Mate 6, they seem to be taking it pretty greedy. YMC have a lot they only really have two heroes that they need the farm on, which is the Weaver and the Invoker. So if they can get a good grip on this mid game, which I think they can. I mean, they've got the Lion, they've got the Rubik, they've got very easy Sunstrike set up. So that's going to play a big role in these early engagements. So I guess it really depends on how these early lanes go. Because I think Mate 6 should have it definitely in the late game. That Doom is just going to basically crap on everyone on YMC. It'll stop Weaver doing anything. It'll stop Invoker doing anything, as well as the Lion and the Rubik are basically just useless. So maybe it's that kind of game where we see Doom angling for more of the utility spellcaster build where you get, something like the Ag's Refresher. But we'll find out soon enough. We can introduce the teams now. On the side of MI6, we have Gosu Panda playing that Mirana, the Viper being played by Roger Dodger, Varge on the Alchemist, Lich being played by Thao, and finally Potato on that Doombringer.
On the side of YMC, we got M playing the Weaver there. We got Turtleman playing the Lion. Got Illusion Jesus playing the Rubik. 214 playing the Invoker in the mid, and of course GV on the outer side, which looks like he is going to be a dual, or at least a solo bottom lane.
Yeah, it does look like he's solo for now. I mean, Illusion Jesus is down here right now, but it looks like he's just going to be planting the ward and then maybe leaving for the top lane. I don't know whether it would be good to keep him here or not. I mean, with with the lift on one lane and with the multiple stuns from Lion on another lane, it means that you have possible Sunstrike initiation on both. So I kind of like that if they're going for the dual lanes, just because that pure damage Sunstrike does do a hell of a lot of damage in the early game. It's like having another third hero in every kind of gank if you can hit it. So I think, keeping Illusion Jesus down here would be a decent idea for YMC.
Having a quick look at the lanes, what it looks like to be, it is an Alchemist mid, and I said that we do see that sometimes. Going up against an Invoker, this is going to be I feel this is going to be 2-1-4's, or could have been 2-1-4's lineup if he had gone that early Quas, but he's actually gone early Extort, so that's actually going to work in favor of Alchemist. Of course, going up against an Alchemist, he's going to level out that Acid Spray, traditionally going to level out that Acid Spray to out-harass you, and if you went Quas, you wouldn't have to deal with it, but he's gone Extort, so it is going to be damage right-click. So 2-1-4, what do you think? Is he going to have a good time in that mid lane, or is he going to be under pressure?
Well, I think he's going to be under a bit of pressure because of that, the spray, of course. He will have the Quas available to him, basically, within the next 2 levels, so I don't think it's going to play too big a part, because, of course, Vaj, you know, the Acid Spray does cost 130 mana. It is pretty costly to constantly spam out, so I think 2-1-4 has a bit more staying power in the lane, and the more that Exhort gets leveled up, the harder it is for Vaj to stay in the lane, because Alchemist does have very low armor to begin with, sitting at only 1 at the moment, so I think I still give the advantage to 2-1-4, and you can see now the Acid Spray thrown down kind of further back, so 2-1-4 just steps ahead of it and starts harassing Vaj.
Yeah, in the middle, the damage also with the early exhaust's very, very high, low-level damage as well. It normally would be low-level damage, but coming out with forcing Alchemist to pop there already early on. Yeah, I agree completely with your analysis, because it kind of just followed on from mine for their mid lane. Bottom lane, Mirana's solo going up against a Rubik and a Outer Titan. Although that I feel that you could be picked up, could be killed with relatively easily if there was a rotation. I do think that this is a good lane for Mirana.
Yeah, right now she's able to get in a bit of harassment with the right clicks. I mean, you're only really going to be trading equally if it's a Rubik, and right now Mirana's out-leveling and out-damaging Rubik by, you know, well, not really out-damaging, they have the same base, but she's able to get off a lot more in a short space of time, and YMC, with these 2 heroes alone, don't have the killing power that they need to take her down, so they need to wait for 2-1-4 to level up that Sunstrike to really go on this Mirana at all, but for now, she's just going to be happy farming up, and she should be able to, you know, get a few last hits in.
Yep, and you know, of course, Mirana, not one of these heroes, from my opinion, not a carry that needs early items. Really, you want those early levels as fast as possible so you can make use of your ult or your level 6 very quickly, because that's where you're going to get the kills, not through early items. Farm is great, but you know, it's one of these heroes that if you're not having a great CS lane, that's okay. As long as you're not dying and you're picking up an okay amount, you means you can still come through when you're needed to do so.
Yeah, definitely for those early levels, Mirana just having levels is what you want, because Mirana can transition into a right-click carry, but her real damage during that mid-game is, of course, coming through from the arrow and Starfall. And in fact, on top lane...
on the top lane, yeah, under a little damage, he's getting right-clicked there. He is out of position slowly, as those who know, Viper does not have any natural escapes, is a hero who requires items. He did get harassed out, but it looks like everyone's going to get away here, and there will be no kills.
Yeah, the corrosive skin pickup early on is really good. It stops the kind of magic damage coming out from moops too much, as it does reduce it by, you know, a small percentage.
Look out, Alchemist is going to go down. One more right click, all that is required, but he gets away with Alchemist spray. Catches him in the end.
Going down to the acid spray, it's definitely not what 2-1-4 wanted. He was a bit too aggressive there, and I think just took a bit of a wrong pathing. Walked straight back up this hill instead of kind of going around this way, so... just a tiny bit of a misplay from 2-1-4. They're getting a bit too aggressive there, but, you know, he does hit the level 5 Alchemist. However, almost a full level ahead is just under that level 6, so... he's going to be quite happy picking up that solo kill. It's definitely a very good start for him.
He's in a bit of trouble. He gets slowed out. He uses that Zakuzi at the last moment. Sorry for interrupting. I did think that was going to turn into a kill.
No, that's fine. Anytime something like that happens, just jump in straight away. We have Gosu Panda on the bottom, getting Fade bolted out, which is really starting to annoy him. His small damage that you have on the Mirana gets taken down even more. It's minus 20 at the level of Fade Bolt that Rubik currently has. But of course, Rubik can't throw that out too often, so he needs to be mindful of his mana pool there.
Yeah, the lanes, I like these lanes. Oh, look out, Roger Dodgy gets stunned out. They were waiting for this. This is the position. Sunstrike comes through. It does connect, and Weaver picks up the kill. No, Lying steals it at the last possible moment. Does not go to M where it should have. But they waited for that. They baited that out, and Lion waited in that shop, just patiently waiting for that opportunity. I was going to say, I like these lanes, that they're opposing lanes, because they both have potential, but clearly the Dire side has more killing potential with that global presence of the Sunstrike.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like it may have actually missed in that last engagement, because the Hex was thrown out after the stun. Of course, you can move when you're a critter, even though it is kind of less movement speed. I think 214 just put it a little bit too far back, but it was...
Doom gets rotated on. Looks like he's going to go down on the bottom lane. They're right-clicking. Are they going to turn? Are they going to get away? He wants to get the Rubik. He goes back in and out of Titan. Wants to throw out the stun. He wants to connect. He will chase down the Doom, or will he run away? There's not enough mana on Morana to secure this with an arrow. Rotation in from Alchemist under Haste Rune. He's going to look to charge that unstable connection. It is going to connect. There's no support. No one else is there, but it doesn't matter. There goes the Acid Spray, and he is going to go down. One more right-click. Great plays there coming out of Mates in 6.
In fact, on top lane as well, Viper's going for Turtle Man. Moops dropping low already. One more poison attack does the job. Takes a lot of tower shots though. In fact, sitting at 20 health, the Sunstrike comes through and picks up the kill. Meanwhile, M also killed off the Lich in the bottom side. So lots of trades going on there in the top lane. In fact, all over the map.
Yeah, both because of the Sunstrike, and because of the strength that Alchemist brings, if he does come into your lane, they both have a lot of gank potential, if you will. Doom, he hasn't quite yet got that level 6, but once he gets that level 6, he's also going to be a threat. Come out of the jungle, just make it a straight-out fight, one hero less, and so they really need that Doom to catch up, get that level 6 if they want to take the mid game away from YMC, who clearly have the better lineup for their mid game phase, but you know, it's still early stage, and it's only one kill difference in it so far.
If we take a look at the experience, it is in MI6's favor, only around 750 in it. The gold as well, only about 250, so an extremely even game so far. And it's the way that last game went as well. In fact, on bottom lane, Gossip Panda gets lifted up and hexed out, goes down instantly there.
Yeah, he got harassed out. It almost looked like he was AFK slightly. Ancestral Spirit taking a bit of damage. He just stood still. And as soon as they saw that, in went the Rubik for the pickup. Out came the line with the Hex. And there you go. There's another kill, making it 4 for 4. Even ties between these two teams.
We see 214 picking up the Midas in the mid lane. We did see a small change in the Wraith King update recently, where Midas's recipe cost was increased by 150 gold. So it is still very potent, and I think it's still a great pickup. I mean, it just means for that first use, which 214 just threw out, instead of getting the, 190 gold, you, in effect, kind of get 40 gold just because of the recipe increase, and Gosu Panda looks to be in trouble in the bottom lane.
Again, they're looking to rotate on another pickup. Easy kills, same MO, same result every time. TP's coming through very, very slowly from Viper. In comes the Doom. He has got his ult. He's waiting though. He's not letting to use it. They just steal him away. Exploded the Elder Titan. Yeah, no, because I thought they might pursue someone else, but no.
Looks like they're all done there. 214 is actually taking quite a bit of damage from this acid spray in the mid lane. It is full level, and Weaver actually grabbing a kill in the top lane on the Lich.
Yeah, Lich was TPing out. I actually thought he would get away, but it just seems that he was happy to dive the tower, take some damage, and get their kill.
So a nice little pickup from M there. He is doing a decent job up in the top lane. Since those supports have kind of rotated out, he's had a lot more space to farm up. He's got the Aquila up, he's got the Ring of Health as well, so not doing too badly, but still sitting at only 28 last hits. It's not really where you want to be on your safe lane farmer.
Yeah, net worth-wise, though, you've got the two top heroes there, Invoker and Alchemist, so the two mids are clearly streaming away in their CS, followed by Doom, which I think is not really a good indicator because he is, of course, jungling, but he does have the wealth anyway to back it up.
Yeah, you do, of course, like, even though they are kind of jungle creeps, you do get the bonus gold from Devour, so it sort of evens out in as far as Doom's jungle is concerned. And we do also see the Hand of Midas picked up on Varge, so not only do the mid laners have the top CS, they have the top net worth. In fact, Alchemist is ahead. Illusion Jesus getting gone on in the bottom lane. Arrow narrowly missing. Poison coming out from Roger Dodger, and they pick up a pretty easy kill for MI6 there.
Yeah, thanks to that early opening from Thao on the lich just slowed him down enough so that they could just right click away. Didn't need any abilities to secure. Wow, arrow almost connecting with Elder Titan there. Feeling so sorry for this Mirana, just not finding the connects with those arrows, but it doesn't matter because again it's 6 for 6, even ties. But in the top lane, M and Line are going to push down this tower because they know there's going to be no answer here, no TPs. No, there is going to be a TP. This could be dangerous though.
Viper coming in, but not too aggressive of a TP. He didn't come out in the front line, so wasn't going to be able to catch out that line. Although, to be fair, that is a level 6 line, so who would be catching out who? A stun and an ultimate, even though, you know, with that corrosive skin, it gets lower. In fact, Potato might be caught out here. The Hex comes out instantly, as well as the Finger Stun to follow up. No, in fact, he just goes for it. He doesn't have enough mana. The Sunstrike is going to miss as well because of that extra movement speed from Doom. He's going to turn around, but Sakuchi's up. And it looks like that's all that's going to happen up in that top lane. It's really unfortunate that the Sunstrike didn't hit.
It's really unfortunate also because they smoked it up to rotate onto middle and get the Alchemist.
2 on 4 doomed up. Goes down there. Illusion Jesus steals up the stun, so doesn't go for the Doom, who did kind of get out in time, but a nice rotation in there. The Alchemist just kind of sat up there, acid sprayed and threw out the stun, and Doombringer just coming through with the goods.
Yeah, as I say, again, there's another sort of salt to injury sort of scenario where they should have killed their Doom, but I think the execution and order of abilities was the wrong way around. Should have probably gone for the stun first, or at least timed it so that the Sunstrike could connect. But went for the Hex straight off the bat, and that meant that Doom got away and then was able to help rotate.
Ultimate on bottom, GV eating a Lich ultimate as well as a right click from Mirana that steals it away in the midst of things. So they will pick up a kill on the Elder Titan, who was starting to farm up quite a bit. In fact, he is around 1.2k net worth ahead of Mirana, so the safe laners for both teams not doing the best. M's doing slightly better, however, than that Mirana.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for this Panda to come online with the Mirana. I'm waiting for this ult to be used to an effect where they can secure a number of kills through a team fight. Meanwhile, in the middle, there's a charge up here, pick up, followed up with a Spadebolt, and then a stun. Sunstrike was not required, but it did get the kill. They did get the kill. Man, just the importance of that vision in the high ground with their ward there for the dire side. None so for the Radiant. He couldn't see the two heroes in the high ground, but they could clearly see him. And now the Mirana ult goes up. They are looking for Elder Titan in the bottom line. No mana on Mirana though, so this is just going to be purely right clicks. Here comes the net, there comes the Doom. Yeah, and Doom is going to be all that's needed. They're going to chase him down. He's looking to turn on Mirana though. He realizes Mirana is definitely low.
Oh, the Sunstrike coming through.
Excellent. And that was, I think that was a big mistake by Mirana. Went in with just such little hit points to start with. Should just waited and just sort of looked at body block only.
Yeah, I think she was alright, but as soon as she threw out the arrow that, you know, basically smacked him right at point blank range, she should have just run away. Because Elder Titan just turned around, hit her about 3 times, which did quite a bit of damage, and it let the Sunstrike come through, as well as, you know, having the Sunstrike vision because she was right next to the heroes there, so just a bit of a misplay there, but I still think the damage of the arrow was necessary to grab up that kill, so not entirely terrible.
You know, you think under ult with a Mirana, with a Doom, and the target's doomed, you should get that kill. It shouldn't really be a trade. So
definitely.
So that's what I'm getting at. That should not really be in a trade, but it was a trade, thanks to the Sunstrike. It's going to add here. When is someone going to get a tower? We're 14 minutes into the game, and the damage, the aggression from both teams is very high. Meanwhile, top line Roger Dodger, he is going to get initiated on Lions, looking to pursue. He wants the catch. Where is the Hex? Where is the stun? There goes the stun. That is going to be a Sunstrike. A pick up there. Dive for the kill. Aggression coming out of YMC.
And it looks like they might be set to take up this tier 1. No, they're all half health and are backing off. Meanwhile, Elder Titan in that bottom lane. He's in the middle of 3 heroes. The Doom comes out, right clicks from Potato, as well as the Lich Blast and Starfall coming through. And that Elder Titan is very dead, goes down here. And meanwhile, the tier 1 tower in top does finally take a fall. So we have our first tower at basically the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, first tower goes down. Achievement unlocked for at least one of these teams. Can they do the same on the bottom, because it looks like it was sort of like a millwind in terms of both teams. One team's pushing the top lane, the other's pushing the bottom lane. If they go for trades, then that's great. But for some reason, you can see here, Mates and 6, they've backed off. They didn't, after that killing that outer Titan, they didn't look to actually push up the lane while the top was being pushed. So they've actually given up a tower in a place where they could have traded.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was open for them to be a lot more aggressive, and we can see after YMC grabbed that top tower, they go instantly into that mid lane. It is at half health. The Acid Spray will slow them down slightly, but this Astral Spirit will help to maybe catch someone out. GV might be in trouble here. The full duration stun coming out from the Alchemist. Illusion Jesus throws out, the Lich throws out the ultimate. Illusion Jesus getting caught there. It's already 2 down for YMC. They need to run. Moops with a nice 2-man stun, and Finger of Death catching out the Mirana. Gets force-staffed away. Vaj needs to throw out that stun desperately. It will take Moops down to within 2 hits. Now, we've got them diving behind the tower, but here's Eminem. He does have the time-lapse if he wants to use it, as well as the meatball. It's a double kill for M. Now Potato overstaying his welcome. That is a 5-for-3 trade, a complete team wipe. YMC getting the better of that trade, definitely, and now they look set to take down this tier 1 tower as well.
Yeah, and the majority of that, I've got to say, I was following it while you were making your calls. The majority of that was the fact that Weaver stayed out of the team fight initially. Came in at the end, and just came from behind. Picked up the Lich, went straight onto the next tier, and then onto next, and virtually been ignored by MI6, who were pushing and diving under the tier 1 tower in the middle. So, lack of global presence awareness. Where is this Weaver? He's taking out the Lich. We should be backing up. We should be diving. That call was not made, and of course, as a result there, they lost all 5 for the 3. As you've already called it, but it is still only 1 kill difference between them, and only 2 towers at this stage in the favor of YMC.
Yeah, if we take a look at the experience, it was actually in favor around 2,000 of MI6 until that last fight. A 4,000 swing, taking it 2,000 in the favor of YMC. If you take a look at the gold, it's now also around 4k in favor of YMC, taking a slight dip up, but this really shouldn't be the case when MI6, fair enough for the experience because MI6 had someone in the jungle. In fact, Total Man going down on top lane. The Doom thrown out by Potato, picking up the kill. But they did play Doom very aggressively. Oh, not very aggressively, but played him in the jungle.
Meanwhile, on the bottom, Alchemist goes down. Out comes the Yules to set it up for the Meteor Strike, and that's all you need when you've got the support of Rubik, as well as, well, Outer Titan, he was inbound with the TP, but when you've got support there, that's all you really need, and that's what you talked about in the draft with the 2-1-4. Once he gets that Yules, or he gets that 4-staff, great game is going to be had by him. Meanwhile, Mirana ults up. Where are they looking to initiate on? It is the Invoker. They want him. They want him so bad. Throwing out abilities, revealing early. The rest of the team coming through. There's a stun. It stuns them. They're revealed. How are they revealed? It doesn't matter because down goes Mirana. Down goes Lich. Alchemist is dropped. Viper drops very shortly afterwards, and now it's a 4-man wipe. Doom is nowhere to be seen, and they're going to be pushing this bottom tower. A swing finally in the favor of one team. That has got to be a decisive play there.
It definitely does. The last 2 fights heavily going in favor of YMC. And not only are they winning the fights, they're following it up with towers. So as you can see, there's a massive swing in the experience. It keeps on kind of trying to go back up the way of MI6, but then these team fights happen and it drops heavily. Now YMC just over 5,000 gold ahead. And as we were saying in the draft, they kind of rely a lot less on gold. If MI6 fall behind here, it's a lot more detrimental for their team. But by the same token, if they can turtle it up, defend their high ground well enough, then they can, well, it is possible for them to take out the late game. It's just, this Invoker is getting very strong. He's got Boots of Travel recipe waiting for him back in base and around 1.5k gold up already. So he's going to be a big problem coming in.
Yeah, you talked about in the draft, which I think was very accurate, which was the fact that the mid game is to be had by YMC, the late game to be had by MI6. You just touched on those points just then also. And, you know, that's why I think that particular team fight was so critical. That's the kind of team fights that MI6 can't afford to lose, those mid-game fights, because then they're just going to start to fall too far behind. They have got the Alchemist, who is farming very, very well, but he is only on 7k. And you've got Weaver, who's on 9k, and Invoker, who's on almost 12k. That's a big difference for him to sort of try and make up. Even Doom, you know, so Can they do it? I don't know. I think they may have lost a good opportunity here to sort of take it to the other game, because I see aggression coming out of YMC that screams that they want this to finish off as soon as possible.
Yeah, and they, even after taking the Roshan, go to defend that tier 1 tower at top so it doesn't fall. In fact, M chasing down Thao the Lich, trying to run for his life, but those right clicks are going to come through. And not only do they grab the Roshan, they defend the tower and pick up a kill. So just great rotations there from YMC. Now 2-1-4, 4-stuffing into the mid. The Yule Scepter comes out, the combo instantly exploding Gosu Panda, but in comes the Alchemist as well as the Doom. He does fall for his involvement there, and that's 1.1k gold going to the Viper for ending that streak.
Yeah. Is that the right hero to get? It was split, but is that the right hero you want it to be on in terms of the full amount of gold? At this stage, you probably want to go eggs in all one basket. You are already behind. You have not been aggressively warding. You haven't been utilizing smoke in between and Mirana ults, so a lot of ground could be made up here by MI6 if they just stick to the core tenets. When you're behind, aggressively ward, look to smoke, because that's how you come back from behind and try and get those kills onto that Alchemist. I feel that if they can feed the Alchemist, funnel all the gold towards him, he will quickly catch up. And I've seen it many times before where an Alchemist who comes from a supporting role just manages to take the top and farm and also items and kills very rapidly. And that's the power of Alchemist. They still have that card up their sleeve. Can they convert that?
I think it's good that he's picked up the BKB, the Alchemist that is, of course, because it means 2-1-4 can't instantly burst him down. The Lion also can't finger him. The only problem is that M does quite a bit of damage at the moment. He's got one of the Mithril Hammers up. He might be going for a BKB, but more than likely going for that Desolator. And Vaj, because he's gone the BKB and Hand of Midas, only has around 6 armor right now, so he's very, very susceptible to that right-click damage. He really needs something like the Assault Cuirass, or even something like a Medallion, just to give him a bit of armor, so he can properly last in these team fights, because without it, it's great that he can dodge the magic damage, but with the natural order coming through, as well as now the completed Desolator from M, he's going to drop in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and there looks to be some a minor drive down the middle by the Dire team. Will they keep the pressure on and push this, or will they wait to at least force out an early Mirana ult, because that's what they need to do, and Mirana's ult is available. It's being used, the glyph's being used. It looks like there is a dive in here. Weaver is looking to go deep. He does. Zukuzi out. The ult from Lich goes off. Mirana's ult goes off. Rubik falls. No one else yet has yet to go down. 3 ults being used to mount a defense. Doom comes out of the jungle. He's ready to doom someone. Oh, he's got it on cooldown. He already has.
Invoker just off on the side. Now the Tornado coming through as well. Meatball on 3 instantly gets a double kill. The BK pop by Vaj. But meanwhile, M is hitting through on the backlines as well with that Desolator. Roger Dodger in a bit of trouble. And at the moment, Alchemist trying to run for his life, getting cold snapped up, but does manage to throw out the stun still. 2-1-4 on a Warpath. YMC grabbing the double kill. 2-1-4 grabbing, oh, not a triple kill. Apparently it took too long, but basically a triple kill there. And that's another full team wipe for YMC.
Yeah, and that was MI6 pursuing the team fight from earlier between the Tier 1 and Tier 2, Tier 2 and Tier 3, I should say, and not finishing everyone off, not connecting and not being cohesive enough and just finishing those heroes off. And what happened? They drove right into their own jungle, ran into that Invoker. That Invoker just easily picked up those 2 kills just like that, and from there, downhill, baby, all the way YMC, and like the bad boy band, one direction this team seems to be going.
Yeah, exactly. The problem was, you know, the Doom doomed out Invoker, but they couldn't catch him. There was nothing that they could really do. Oh, and almost a bit of a cheeky pickup of a kill there from Moops with the Sunstrike, comboed with the Finger of Death. Now Potato coming through. GV gets stunned off to the side. It looks like they're changing their focus. The net comes out from Doom. The poison attacks coming through, but 3 guys caught by 2-1-4. The Deafening Blast as well as Meatball coming out. The ultimate from Elder Titan won't hit, but M now on a godlike spree. He's just going on these backlines constantly. Moops goes down for his troubles, trying to mana drain a bit. 2-1-4 gets doomed out again, taking a lot of damage, but he just turns around and right-clicks Potato. 2-1-4 still alive right now, but does go down. Now we have Panda getting attacked. There's a buyback from the Invoker. Sunstrike will miss, but M won't miss with his right clicks. The stun comes out from Mirana, but it's just not enough. Now 2-1-4 getting aggressive forwards here, but it looks like they're just going to back off. And yet again, I think the problem with the fights is that MI6 are running into these choke points and pursuing these heroes, and Invoker's just turning around and dropping big meatballs and deafening blasts on their heads.
Yeah, like that, like Miley Cyrus, Invoker coming on through like a wrecking ball, smashing them. And it's just not a lot they could do. They exactly the same scenario twice. They pursue somebody into the Radiant side jungle, and guess who was waiting there? Invoker, ready to drop the rock on their face. He knows what's cooking, and he can smell it with the burning corpses left behind as they then turn around and finish off the rest of the team. Who'd they lose? I think they just lost Rubik and an Elder Titan. Am I right?
They also lost the Invoker who bought back, and I believe that someone else... Sorry, let me just check. Yeah, it was the Elder Titan and the Invoker that both bought back, so it wasn't like a full team wipe for nothing. They did manage to grab, I think, about 3 kills there, and forced out 2 buybacks, so that's a bit of economic damage done there. So it's still not a good fight to take, but MI6 will be happy with, I guess, the damage that they could do from how horribly it went from that middle section of the fight. YMC.
Oh, smoke up top, yeah, smoke up top. What are they gonna do? They're just gonna push this tower. They're gonna try and bait out some action. Because if I was on their side, I'd be looking to bait out some team fights because those team fights are all going their way.
Radiant's top towers.
They definitely have been. They're going for this tier 2 tower, as you were saying. Hopefully, just going for a fight. But I think MI6 just need to stop trying to defend outer towers and stay on the high ground and try and defend from there, but of course that is their last outer tower, so they don't really have a choice in that matter. Elder Titan throwing out the Spirit, trying to chase down Roger Dodger here, is going to hit him off, but this tower, just with the Forge Spirits as well as M, this tower's down to almost no health, and you can see it's going to be destroyed here right now, and that's basically a tier 2 and a tier 3 tower for free.
Not just that, all the kills in between as well. Well, in between, but beforehand anyway. Elder Titan throws out his BKB coming straight out of Visage, but he turns. It goes to throw. They connect and get a kill. Off goes the Lich. Oh, but M uses his ult to get away. Net comes down. Yules is here. Here comes the meatballs you were talking about before, and it does connect. They do back off. I think they do fear the presence of this Invoker. But what did they lose? An open lane, a completely open lane. They have to defend this. They can't go anywhere. And the control, the sphere of the territory that YMC control, that dominion of territory is huge now. It's massive. Look at the warding. It just says that, hey, this whole top lane area around your secret shop, that's ours. You can't go anywhere near there. That's not Radiant side anymore. That's Dire side. Deal with it. And are they dealing with it? I don't know. They're looking for farm. They just don't seem to be able to find any.
And not only does that ward kind of spot out and give them the vision there, it means that as soon as there's kind of a big team fight, Weaver can always just teleport to that bottom lane, or even the Invoker with the Boots of Travel, and just go and take out that Rax. Because they'll know that no one is in the general area if they're up on the map, and they can just come in quite easily. It also sets it up for the mid lane. In fact, on bottom, M gets doomed up, Potato coming through, but M throwing out such heavy damage, instantly just takes out Potato. That's now a godlike spree for M, and the Doom's not going to kill him off either, so Potato just kind of overestimating the killing power that he has. And meanwhile, it looks like GV and 214 are going to try and take down Roshan here.
Yeah, and after that, Roshan, it will be a drive at least towards one of these lanes. I'd say that I hazard a guess to say bottom. You've already got Weaver pushing it in. They've already picked up a kill here. And again, like I said before, they're claiming the Radiant side of the jungle as their own. You know, this map, this area here, I'm going to draw a line. This is the area if you're allowed to occupy, if you're the Radiant. Go out beyond that line, you're pretty much going to die. And even if you're in that area, you're still going to die if we want you to die. So YMC having a mastery over the game by controlling that map and also having a 10-kill lead.
Yeah, it's basically kind of the marker of a good team is as soon as they start to get these outer towers, you could see that Moops instantly bought up that gem. So it gives them even more map vision. They can de-ward any wards that the Radiant might have had in this area, and just kind of take away their vision and make it, as you said, just kind of like a death zone. If you step here, we will kill you. You always have to be afraid because we could be anywhere on that side of the map. So, vision is really one of the most important things.
Yeah, it does, and it just gives them the freedom to go, hey, look, and they're doing it right now. Let's just go farm camps. You know, you can't farm the camps, so we might as well farm the camps. And that's just extra gold, extra nails in the coffin for mates in 6.
We do have a DC out from 214, who they definitely need in this next team fight. He's got the Ags, the Boots of Travel, as well as the Aegis, choosing to use it on the Invoker this time instead of the Weaver, and I do like that decision because it means that Weaver can either decide to use the time-lapse in the fight, even die, buy back, and then time-lapse back in, and the Invoker is a big Doom target, so if they either don't Doom him because they know he has the Aegis, they're going to take a lot of damage, or if they do Doom him, Invoker will just come back after, he dies off, without the Doom and at full mana. So either way, this Invoker is going to do a lot of damage in this next team fight.
A team fight. I don't know if it's going to be a team fight because what we've seen here is YMC kind of not even taking team fights, but just picking apart the positions of mates in 6, just going, hey, you've got some heroes here, let's pull them aside by baiting out, if you will. Maybe they didn't plan it, but that's the way it's worked out so far. Pull out a few heroes to the side. Let's take them out with generally the Invoker, and then the rest of the heroes, the other 2 left remaining have to flee, and they get picked off by the hero that is really good at pursuing and driving down those kills, Weaver.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you as you said pretty much perfectly, they've been spreading them out thin and then taking them down with Eminem. Every single team fight that they've had, M's just kind of waited for his time to pounce. He's run in from the back with Sakuchi and just started taking down supports and then taking down the heroes that are chasing the other guys who suddenly go, oh wait, our supports are dead and now we have a Weaver in between us and our base. What the hell are we going to do? So it's been great positioning by M and basically the whole of YMC to drag these fights out. And it's really down quite a bit to mobility. You've got the Weaver with Sakuchi, you've got Lion with a 4-staff, as well as the Invoker that has a 4-staff and have almost maxed Wex, so he's sprinting around the map, and Boots of Travel, of course. Elder Titan gets so much movement speed from the Spirit, as well as a 4-staff of his own, and Rubik rounding it out with the 4th 4-staff. So it's just general 4-staff gaming from YMC. They're just able to dodge so much of the damage that MI6 are trying to inflict.
It's one of the best items in the game, if you ask me. That the ultra mobility you get from having 4-staffs in your team can just counteract so many situations where you would otherwise die, and going up against a Clockwork, for example, such a great item to have on your team. Not that there's a Clockwork in this game or whatsoever, but it does look like the teams, they are just looking to farm, no one looking to do anything special. Although Doom did run past a number of heroes, scouting out where they were, is now forced back to TP because it looks like they're going to have to defend this top lane.
And that's the thing, YMC don't even really have to force anything. They've been taking all the team fights, so they're just happy to group up and try and take down the racks. That's going to force a team fight for them, and, as we've been saying, they're winning every team fight. So right now, they're just even taking down the racks with the Forge Spirits now. M coming up the high ground and harassing it down, and MI6 just aren't doing anything. They're just waiting off, maybe looking for a way in, but I think the problem is they don't have a really strong initiation. Now, Cyclone coming out, as well as the Disarm and the Meatball, it won't hit on anyone, but it does do a bit of chip damage, and that's the melee racks already going down.
Yeah, Murata ult coming through at the end there. For some reason, I'm not really sure why. The assault was already finished. They had already retreated. No one is low enough to worry about it. But they haven't finished. They waited for the timing to run out. They've come in. Lich ult goes off. There's right clicks everywhere. Doom goes down onto Invoker. He drops, but he has the Aegis. Down goes at least 2 heroes. 3, Finger of Death. Invoker's back. It's 4. Mirana's the only one left alive. She has nowhere to go to live except in her own well. And that's the only place YMC will let them live. And you'd have to say, how do you come back from this?
I think MI6 can't really. I mean, YMC are going to take the second lane. You can see Gosu Panda has the same train of thought. The good game does get called. YMC just proving far too strong, and I think it was a problem where MI6 just didn't have a strong form of initiation. The Moonlight Shadow is great, but all that YMC had to do was get up a gem on the line, and from that point onwards, MI6 just had no way of getting into a fight. So
Yeah, this just analyze this later because there is no game three, and you've got nowhere to go just yet. Um, that gem came later. That gem came much later when they already have exerted their position as the dominant team in the match. The problem I feel is that the amount of times that the ult was used, it was very sparse. They never positioned well, and not once did I see them smoke up in between them. So, um, whereas you saw for YMC, they used a number of smokes, 3, 4 smokes if I can count correctly, during that match. They are the ones that were initiating. Yes, they do have some potential superior initiation thanks to those 4 staffs, but no more so than MI6 in terms of what's at tools are at their disposal. But how they use them, I think, is where the issue lies. You know, I think they needed they needed to use that ult on Morana a lot more aggressively and more frequently, and they just didn't.
yeah, I think you're definitely right there. They could have kind of secured the mid game by being a lot more aggressive with Moonlight Shadow, and they definitely had the tools to exploit it as well. They had a Doom as well as a Viper, two great pick-off heroes, and they just seemed a bit too wary of using it. It was thrown out, I guess, far too much defensively for my liking, personally, and it kind of came back to bite them when it was a full 5-on-5 team fight. You don't have that kind of way of picking heroes off. You can single them out with the Doom and then the Viper Strike, but it just wasn't enough in the long run. So